Greetings, all. I'm Shardvixen, at least I think I am. And today is July 29th, 2017. It's my daughter's birthday, so it's a busy, busy day. So this may not post till tomorrow, but I am trying really hard for it to post tonight. There's some stuff going on online tonight that might make that a little impossible. Anyway, so here's a shirt. I wanted to show you my shirt my daughter got me. Look at that. Wolverine. Yeah. Alright, today's title, of course, is After Death and Life. So I wanted to talk about kind of this, I guess some of the stuff I believe in and some of the stuff I don't believe in. Or I don't personally believe in them, but it's okay if you believe in it. So I don't believe in the Christian heaven. I don't believe that, I always kind of like the idea that you'd show up at the gate and St. Peter's would say, oh, let's wait and see your good and your evil. But I kind of understood early in life that a lot of this religious stuff is about fictional stories. They're not bad stories, and it doesn't mean they're not true, because they're true to us. I mean, it's just like Wolverine is true to me in an aspect. So that's how I see it. I was atheist for a very long time in my life. Look, I look cross-eyed. Ooh. Because the idea that such horrible things could happen to people, and some supreme being thought that was okay, regardless of if it was meant to strengthen you or give you tools and later in life or whatever. It just seemed, I don't know, cruel. So for a long time, I was an atheist. I couldn't imagine. I just felt that it was by coincidence and random events that life occurred. Then I started to believe that there was no such thing as coincidences, and from there I went to believing that, and this is going to piss a lot of people off, but that everything in our lives is designed for us. I don't know that I would say that our path is completely written out. I think our path is, there's a path that's written out, but we're allowed to wander off and on the path. And sometimes when we come back on the path, we know it because everything just goes do. And then other times we get off the path and we can't never get back on the path. And I think there's a purpose to everything, which kind of irritates a lot of people as well, because then they're like, what's the purpose of me being depressed? I don't know. I don't know that I'm not divine in that aspect. So I don't, for other people, so I don't know what the purpose would be for your particular path. So the belief I have, and I talked about it before, is that everyone is their own god or goddess, meaning we create our reality around us. I am perfectly into that whole digital idea that we live in a digital world and haven't realized it, and that it is someone else who's making us go on the path. That is, to me, a very acceptable thing, only because you're seeing layers of it in your own reality. But I believe in the Summerlands. The idea came from it's kind of a mixture of what the Irish druids believed, that when you died you went to the Summerlands, because the Summerlands was where food was rich and there was plenty of it, and everyone was having a good time, and it was a big party, and you were making love, and all of your family was there for you. No matter where you had been in your incarnation, the people that you connected with was there. So I thought that's a really cool idea. I like that. And then I've read some books that kind of amplify that fictionally, that fiction story. The one that comes to mind is S.M. Sterling's post-apocalyptic world, where there was a change in our atomic structure that makes it so gunpowder and mechanical things like that don't work anymore, not in the same way. And so they all believe in the Summerlands, and he actually has it in the book where somebody's dying and they're seeing the opening to the Summerlands instead of the bright light, and they're seeing, their family and friends waiting for them there. So that, to me, is a really good idea. Then I wrote a kind of fictional story in which there was the Summerlands and the Winterlands. And the Winterlands held the people that made not such good choices, and or didn't believe in the Summerlands, or the fairy mythical creatures that are more seen as being malicious or mischievous. So, so my belief system is that when I don't really know what's going to happen to me when I die. I mean, maybe I'm going to float around here forever watching everything, or maybe I'm going to enter into another digital concept. But I think it's interesting to me that in the overall fictional stories that we've told ourselves thousands and thousands of years, like the Christian, I'm going to take Christian, but that encompasses Catholic and in some cases any one God religion. So I'm not picking on the Christians. It's just that Catholics, the Catholic belief is one I'm a little more familiar with because my mother was Catholic. And the Christian belief I'm a little more familiar with because basically, even though my father didn't attribute to any religion and my grandparents weren't like overly religious, they all believed in the idea of heaven under a one God. I believe in the Summerlands under many gods. And the reason is there's a whole lot of reasons for that. I look at animals. Let's take crows. I love crows. They're very, very intelligent. They're not intelligent in human concept, but they're intelligent for birds. Most birds are probably intelligent. We just don't know that. But they have an interesting social, what would you say, social concept. Because they live in family units who are also part of, like they're not called a herd, but they're a murder of crows, a murder of ravens. So, do they believe in some type of supreme being? Are their actions dictated by that? Do they like share because it's good, or do they share because they're fearful of their God, or because their God says so? So I think about these things, and if they have a God and we have a God, are they the same God? We would say yes. Human beings would say, of course. Our God is their God. But what if our God isn't their God? What if they have a different God? What if there's a God for everything in the world? You know, and those gods are taking care or not taking care of those things. I like that idea better. I like the idea, I don't like the idea of the almighty good God, who isn't really good if you look at the Bible. I mean, not in the sense of good. And then the devil. I don't like that. Even though I'm very black and white, you know, very chaos and order, I don't like good and bad. It just doesn't, because things aren't good or bad. People are just a mixture of both, and they make either good or bad choices. Acceptable or unacceptable choices, appropriate or inappropriate. Any word you use, of course, there is that opposite thing. But I kind of like the idea that those above me or below me or ascended above me, that would be a better word, ascended above me, would not be so constricted by those rules. It would be different, something kind of alien. Divine would be alien-like. Not meaning that aliens are divine, because I don't believe that. So the idea would be that, you know, like dogs have their own, sorry, I got real bad. Okay, so it digressed from that. The thing that I have on my face is rosacea, but it's aggravated by something else, either the inflammation in my body or whatever. So periodic times things happen, and I got a big old boil between my ear and my head, and it's just getting bigger, and it won't go away, and it hurts like a dang. That's why my hair, besides liking the haircut, for the most part, I continue it because of the fact that I get these sores in my head, and it just hurts. So that's why. But I like the haircut. I used to have a mohawk too, so I think it's cool to do really outrageous stuff. I used to have plugs in my ears. I can't anymore because of my face. All right, so now we're going to go back to topic. And the topic, I'm pretty good at keeping this topic. So when I think about this idea that, okay, so one of the things is that when you're looking at how religions are built, okay, we're going to get kind of analytical and logical and not very religious in this aspect, or spiritual. The creation of the fictional story of religion in a society is so that you have moral laws that will keep the community safe. You have universal laws, I believe, that are for everyone, that we kind of know in our soul are not okay, and that is our connection to our divineness. We can choose to do those if that's our choice, but we kind of know that deep down inside maybe that's not a good thing. It's not, but it may not be a wrong thing if you are a chaos goddess, okay? So when a society creates this, they have reasons for the things you do. So the reason suicide, for the most part, is kind of against the God rule is because if people knew that heaven was so beautiful, okay, that's the concept. They're taught that heaven is this most beautiful, awesome place in the world, and that it will relieve you of the pain and suffering you feel on earth. Now that has morphed over the years, because we have a better, for most part, we have a better life than we had, say, 1,000 years ago. Or some people would argue that, but let's just say that. It don't matter. All right, so if you have a society and they're working hard, and you've got a class structure, and the people in the bottom are struggling, and life is so hard, and this is depressing, and my children are dying left and right, and things like that. The belief that when you die, there's this beautiful, wonderful place that's going to embrace you is very powerful. And then there's laws that are set up, rules for you to get into that place. So if you're not following those, you're going to go to someplace else where you will be punished for the horrible deeds that you've done on this earth. Now, that tends to be very subjective to me, because if you're a king and queen and you have peons and you're treating them horribly, if you're a king and queen, we had a blurb there because people were running naked across my screen, and I cannot share that, I'm sorry. If you're a king and queen and you're horrible to your peasants, even though that's the norm of the time, when you got to the gate, do you think St. Peter said, oh, you're a king, so therefore we excuse you for being a horrible, mean, rotten person? I don't think so, but it's how the system seems kind of that way. Because if everyone has their place, in the world, and everybody has the thing they're supposed to do, and then when you do it, how is that not wrong? That's the universal wrong. I think it's wrong. Okay, we kind of know it's wrong, but we do it anyway. So that was my problem with that concept. But anyway, suicide is considered wrong because you're not allowed to kill yourself and go to heaven before your time is done. You have to suffer out whatever your plan is. So that's why in some religions suicide is bad. Is because if everyone wanted to go to heaven, it was great, then they would suicide, like Jim Jones. I'm sure he's not in heaven because he suicided technically, even though he believed in something else. Maybe there's a little realm. I mean, that's another possibility, that there's little realms of heavens based on what you believe. So like me, there's a little bubble out there. It's the Summerlands, and I will go there, and my image of my life will be there. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, those who I love and care about, the people I've met, the people I know, will all be there with me. I don't know. I mean, I'm open to it. I'm sure that some of us have had connections to the other world, but because you believe strongly one way, that is going to be subjective as well. So, I think that when we think about the fictional stories that we have told ourselves over the thousands upon years, that they are now fact, because they become real because we believe in them. And that's fine. I mean, you can believe in something, but if that belief starts to make you feel bad and in your mouth, and you're willing to sacrifice yourself anyway because the world is so horribly rotten and you're sure that God doesn't love you anyway, then those beliefs need to be kind of morphed a little bit, I think, for people. But maybe not. I mean, I don't see suicide as a bad thing, like you can't get into the afterlife because you killed yourself. I think that suicide is hard in the now, not in the... If you're at a point where you wish to kill yourself, and I'm telling this to anyone out there, you need to build a safety plan. Give it to the person you love the most and who loves you the most, not someone you love and they don't love you. Someone who cares about you and would miss you if you were gone. I mean, that's the thing. Is you got to understand, even if they don't act like it, there's somebody out there that will miss you. And then you need to call the crisis center. There's a U.S. number for it. I don't normally put it up. Maybe I'll look for it and put it in my description just in case, since we talked about it. I will probably talk about suicide on another vlog. But when we're talking about life and death, we have to talk about those kind of things. Assisted suicide, things that where life is so horrible. I always go back to two things that makes me. One is fictional, one is real. The fictional one is Pitch Black, in which they're having a conversation between the Vin Diesel character, Riddick, and the religious leader guy. And he says, you don't believe in God. And he says, I do believe in God. How could you not believe in God when all these horrible, rotten things, happen? I believe in God. I just freaking hate him. Okay? So that's kind of one concept. And then the other one that's kind of true is, okay, so I worked for a place called the Falling Star Foundation. It no longer exists, so don't even go look for it. And it was dealing with children who suffered from AIDS, whose parents had AIDS, and then they got AIDS. And most of the time, their parents were dead by the time the kids were in our program. But I remember asking the people who created the program why they created the program, and they believed that their daughter became an angel. That's why she died. That was her purpose in life, was to become an angel. That is a pretty good way of dealing with the grief that you have over something you have no control over, is to put a positive spin on it. And becoming an angel is an awesome thing. So I don't deny that. I don't say it's not true. I believe that they believed it, so therefore it makes it true. It is hard to lose people. It is hard to let go from this realm to the next realm. I don't want to go. I don't want to go yet. I want to live forever in my little bubble and watch the world go. But being who I am, I won't know where I'm going until I get there, which is kind of scary, but I'm not afraid of death. I'm just afraid of where I'm going to end up afterwards, because I haven't done some good things. And when we lay out the soul and doing things with the idea that it's going to get you into heaven, that's really not a good thing either. You're supposed to do good things out of the kindness of your soul. All right, that's it. This is done. I'm trying to cut down to 15, and I'm not getting there. Maybe this will be closer. Excuse this. So I will catch you all on the flip side. And just remember, next Tuesday is my birthday. And for those people who like No Man's Sky, I'm having a live stream. So come and catch it. All right? Peace. I'm out of here.